Today, I want to go over the Game 1 draft of LNG vs BLG over in the LPL playoffs. Now the winner of this match is going to go to the LPL finals, so these are two of the top 3 teams in the league. This yet again shows even the best teams in the world suck at drafting. Remember the primary basics here. Build a comp with consistent themes while simultaneously countering enemy themes. Let's take a look. Also, 64% of you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button, it really helps out the channel. To quickly go over bans, LNG ban Rakan, Jax, and Annie on blue side. These are all okay, but the Jax ban really gives away they want to play Renekton. If I were BLG, I would have immediately banned Renekton after seeing Jax banned, unless I were willing to pick an actual lane counter, which BLG is not. BLG banned Jace, Kai'Sa, and Tristana, all fine red side bans, which means Maokai is open, so LNG correctly ticked that. And that pick right there is the high point of this draft for both teams, and it's all downhill after this. BLG answer with first rotation LeBlanc and Xayah. Now I've said it a million times, LeBlanc with Shiv Night Harvester is useless and does nothing, so ideally LNG just answer with a safe scaling mid and completely ruin the LeBlanc pick later on. The Xayah is also just premature. She thrives into hard engage and champions running into her, and with Maokai locked, LNG do not have to commit to that theme. That's why Maokai is such a strong first pick on blue side. Outside of his kit just being broken, he's very flexible and can fit into several themes. Anyways, LNG answer with Renekton and Azir. The Azir is great to stay safe against LeBlanc and outscale her. The only potential trouble is that LeBlanc can easily get push in mid and roam with her jungler, which could be problematic for bot lane. The Renekton pick, like I said, is super predictable since they banned Jax. I know I usually say this champ just sucks, especially as a blind pick, but nobody actually picks his counters, so maybe blinding the Croc isn't actually a death sentence. I still think he's useless though. BLG round out first phase with K'Sante to match Renekton in lane and outscale him. Through the first pick phase, I heavily favor LNG as they have better scaling, more range, and the LeBlanc pick is going to be more useless than the Renekton. Second ban phase sees LNG ban Kindred and Lee Sin, one of which is good and one of which is bad. I'll let you decide. BLG banned Sivir and Varus to take from Gala, which is fine. I don't think Sivir is in a great spot right now. It's also not a great ban because you have Xayah locked. LNG is going to pick someone that outranges her no matter what, so with Aphelios and Kog'Maw still open, Sivir isn't a great ban. BLG R4 Sejuani, which is bad because she has nobody to synergize with in solo lanes. No Renekton, no Camille, no Yone, no Jax. People really underestimate Sejuani's early game power in this sense. Also, with a K'Sante and Xayah into Aphelios lane that are going to be perma-pushed in, the only place Sej can really play thus far is through mid lane. LNG round out with Aphelios and Rell, which is really bad. Yes, Rell is a power pick in the current meta, but this lane duo does nothing. With a short-ranged marksman like Xayah locked, they had the opportunity to really punish that lane with something like a Soraka, but instead they choose to dive straight into Xayah, who wants that anyways. Super brainless pick. BLG R5 counter with Alistar, which is laughable. Again, this quote-unquote counter pick does nothing and cancels Rell combo maybe twice in a game and definitely not in any meaningful situations. 2 giga useless support picks this game. So look at both teams overall and how off-theme they both are. LNG have scaling, range, and kite back with Maokai, Azir, and Aphelios, and then hard dive with Renekton and Rell. BLG is even worse. They have mid-game poke with LeBlanc, late-game dive and engage with K'Sante and Sejuani, and late-game kite back with Xayah. And the cow is just kinda there, mooing on the sidelines. Overall, I definitely prefer LNG's draft, but holy moly, these are both terrible drafts. Now I'm going to show you what I would have picked in this draft on both sides with respective answers. I've kept all the bans the same and we'll go from there. Keep in mind, I'm aware the draft wouldn't play out this way in an actual competitive game because one person obviously isn't drafting for 2 teams. Anyways, I stick with B1 Maokai. With Kai'Sa banned, that's definitely the best option available. Now if she wasn't banned, I would pick Kindred. But I know she was a second ban phase, but I'm just doing it for the purposes of the video. So I answered with Kog'Maw and Braum. The Kog blind pick could be problematic, but I wanted a strong pairing with Braum. I picked Braum early because he's very strong into the Maokai and can block the ult and follow-up damage very effectively. Again, Kog is just super strong with Braum, long ranged, and scales insanely well. I second rotate Ashe and Milio on blue side. This is primarily to match the range of Kog'Maw because I don't want to be running face first into that Kog-Braum combo. Yes, Kog will out DPS Ashe later on, but hopefully with Milio protection she can do some work. I then R3 Ivern to match with the range and scaling of Kog. It's also a good pick into the Maokai because he doesn't often invade early, which Ivern can be susceptible to. Through the first pick phase, we have 2 on-theme comps with range, scaling, and 5v5. I R4 blind Ornn, which is pretty standard. It'll go down some CS in lane, but it will scale just fine and provide the much needed front line and engage for red side. Not to mention, the items he gives out are super broken. Blue side rounds out with Gangplank and Veigar. The GP will have a free lane to scale into the Ornn, starting Cole and taking first strike so he can just farm money. The Veigar blind is also punishable, but I wanted something to match themes with heavily scaling range and zone control with Maokai. The Cage does just that, and the Maokai Veigar combo will make it very difficult for Kog to move in teamfights. R5 counter is Axe Shan into the Veigar. This is a hard winning lane matchup, and he still scales incredibly well, not to mention the revive. Axe Shan is just a super underutilized champion in my opinion. So overall, you can see these two comps want to play for scaling and 5v5 around late game objectives. In my opinion, there are really no gaps in either team comp, and both have some advantages over the other. This is what competitive draft phase should do. It should give both teams the opportunity to enter the game on even footing, and make the game come down to human execution, meaning that the better team will always win. But because pro teams draft so horribly, this is not always the case. Thanks for watching, see you next time.